Okay, so it should hopefully work. All right, welcome to the first actual video of the Authority podcast and also the first interview of the Authority podcast. So today is
Ooh,
all kinds of exciting.
I'm special.
You are special.
I've been told that a
Uh,
lot.
you are. To those of you who don't know already, this is my friend Chris Wallace. He is a poker player extraordinaire and also an incredibly skilled author, despite himself. um, he and his friend Adam run a website called Written Well, and it is an author services website and education space. And I invited him on today to talk a little bit about that and what that looks like and what that does for authors. So I'm gonna kind of let Chris introduce himself a little more thoroughly than I did, and then I will ask you some questions about Written Well.
Your introduction was great. Um, the only, I think the only thing missing is the connection. I started writing poker books, and I had a built-in audience already. I had a very small amount of celebrity in the poker world, and a lot of people who watched my training videos online. So I had a big audience, potential audience built up. And Adam and I sent Adam 80,000 words that wasn't a book about 15 years ago. And I said, and Adam is a wonderful student of the craft who's grew up in a writing family, and he knows just everything about writing. And so I sent it to him and said, "Hey, I wrote all this stuff about No Limit Hold'em, and there's not really a book on No Limit Hold'em that's any good, but I don't know what to do with it now, and it's kind of a mess." And he replied, "Ooh, I'll make this a book for you. This is really good." And so our first self-published book, we spent $8,000 to get 2,000 copies shipped to us on a pallet, um, and we were one of the 1% of people that made money with self-published books back then. That was just a vanity thing back then, and except for a few people like us who had just a big built-in audience. And so we actually did quite well with that book, and that convinced us that self-publishing was a thing worth doing. Also, seeing what poker publishers wanted to give us made self-publishing seem pretty interesting. And it was years later that I, learned about self-publishing by publishing a short story on Amazon just to do it, just to see what it was like. And then I didn't pay any attention to it. A few years later, I went back and looked, and I had $600 in my Amazon account and was like, "Whoa, I didn't know this was a thing," and had to like set up the ways to cash out and all that stuff.
Yep.
And I'm currently turning that story into a book. But that started me on self-publishing, and I wrote a couple more poker books. And you can't advertise poker books. You sort of can, but you're not supposed to, or I don't know. Like most of your ads will be turned down by Amazon, and they'll say this is a prohibited thing, but then people do it anyway and find ways around it. And Facebook is much better about filtering out the ads. It's harder to get them through, and I see less people who have figured out how to get poker book ads on Amazon or on Facebook. But it's they think poker's gambling and they don't understand. So um,
Yep.
if you're not familiar with poker, a poker tournament is not different than a Scrabble tournament or a 9-ball tournament or
Right.
anything else. There's not a bunch of extra gambling involved. It's the same thing, but Facebook and Amazon can't be expected to know that. So since advertising wasn't the thing, I learned about the search algorithm on Amazon and on Facebook, and I applied a lot of my game theory knowledge to sort of reverse engineering how that works. And soon was outselling authors who are much more famous in the poker world than I am. And they started coming to me for how are you doing this and how do I do this, and then that turned into fiction authors and other people coming to me for the similar things, and so I became known as the guy who could get you some sales with the search algorithm, and it sort of grew from there. And the consulting stuff was just not, I didn't want to do that all day long.
Mm-hmm.
The money's fine, but I can also go make money playing poker, but I don't want to do that all day long either. So I wanted to find another way to do that. And Adam and I had made a poker training website way back in the day and sold it to a much larger up and coming website that had a bunch of money. And so we sort of knew how to do that. And Adam is a great web programmer. And so I said, look, how about we make another website? So I'm not talking to people on Zoom all day long about how to sell more books. And and we teach everybody all at once in a subscription site, just like we did with the old site, except this one we don't sell so early. This one we keep around and we make, try to run it as a business. And so, and he liked the idea, so we put together Written Well, which is a subscription site that covers just everything within the self-publishing career. I like to think about people who join as learning about how to make a living and how to do all the things that are encompassed in all that, because it's really you need so many skills, as you need
Yep.
you need to be a writer and an editor and a cover designer and a marketer, and you need to run ads, and you need all these things that you need to do. And there's some people who will do that stuff for you, but most of them will charge you too much money. And so
Hey.
we have
Hey.
I'm sure that you're a great value as an editor, but for someone who's never published a book and
The
doesn't
expense
know
is not
anything
cheap.
about self-publishing, and also editors are much better value than if you have to pay an editor and a cover designer and a formatter and somebody to write your blurb and description, and then play somebody to run your Amazon ads. Like, you almost, no matter how good your book is, you can't make a profit.
Absolutely.
I
I
do think,
usually advise people at least pay for editing and a good cover. Even if you hire somebody who's doing, like from Get Covers or one of the ones that does some of the less expensive ones, but get a good quality cover. However, if you make it yourself, if you hire somebody, and editing is not something people should usually skimp on either.
yeah,
Just for
we
say,
we have courses on how to do those things for yourself, and then we have
oh yeah,
recommendations on who does them well. So we have a list of places to buy pre-made covers and how to do
yep,
that and how much money you should pay for that and how to find the good ones. But even if you're buying a pre-made, you have to do some research on what your genre should look like.
yep,
And we have genre guides in
mm-hmm.
our in Written Well for all the genres and many of the subgenres, and they have examples of what covers should look like. And I've made videos on how to do market research on covers in your genre. So even if you're buying a pre-made and not making it yourself, or you have a cover designer making it, you should know what things look like in your,
Definitely.
if you're doing uh, like military space sci-fi,
Mm-hmm.
you got to have a giant ship on the cover right now. You just
Yeah.
have to. You can have the coolest cover ever, and if it doesn't have a giant ship on it, readers will not trust that your book is in fact the thing they want.
So
Because
it's kind of a
readers, just like you and I, like I'm the same
yep,
way as readers. I want to be reassured that I'm going to get the same thing that I've been reading and that I'm looking for.
mm-hmm.
Write me show me a cover that tells me this is just like that book you read last week and it's just as good. So you
Mm-hmm.
want professional, and you want all the signals for your genre and subgenre
Yep.
in the cover. Yeah, really important.
So part of it is also keeping an eye on trends, not just overall knowing some things, because it's not static, right? Our industry's constantly changing, and recognizing the
Yeah,
changing cover
quickly.
trends or the tropes and stuff that people are looking for. I mean, you don't have to write just right to market, but understanding where the market is gives you the ability to position yourself properly, even if you're not writing to market.
Absolutely. And even know as far as who you're competing with.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at all of the best-selling covers for hard sci-fi, that's not really your competition, because you're not because
Right.
Robert A. Heinlein might be a bestseller right now because some new edition was released, and you're not competing with him. Like,
Right.
yeah, so I teach people to look at the self-published people that are in your genre.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the top 100, pick all the self-published people, and those are the people who are doing it right that you should be looking at. They're
Okay.
self-published and they're in the top 100. Whereas if you just if you're writing horror and you look at Stephen King's covers, some of them are quite good, but they don't have to be good. It doesn't really matter. People
Yeah,
just
if you
buy
just
it.
have his name on it.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter. And they're not, trying to attract sales on Amazon Kindle by making a great cover. It's
Right.
a whole different thing. So, yeah, I have a little add-on. Let me look at what it's called here. Amazon DS Quick View. DS Amazon Quick View. That just tells me who the publisher is if I hover over a book, as one of
Oh,
the things that
nice.
it does. And that helps me see self-published. All right, dog, come here. Ah, dog who
Must have a visitor.
comes through.
Oh,
Yes,
the precious darling.
yes. She comes into my office scratches my leg, wants to be picked up for like 1 minute for a hug, and then is back off again. She does that all day long.
I mean, that's fair. Like, I'm all about animal interruptions. My podcast is very familiar with my cats. They are
Oh,
regular guest stars.
if they appear on screen, there will probably be some grumbling from this one.
They don't normally appear on screen. I haven't actually recorded video for the podcast yet, so this is like a whole special new
No.
thing I'm doing, and we'll
All
see
right.
if my laptop bursts into flames or if I can accomplish it, but we'll get there. Um, so it sounds like Written Well, your mission is really to help authors be successful, whatever their genre is, whatever they're going for, is helping people who are looking to self-publish figure things out and get out things that are going to be good quality and that sell well, right?
That's right. The short goal is help authors make a living. Um, Back in the poker training site, we didn't consider ourselves to have any competition. We were happy to talk about other sites that did things well, and so we took and people loved that, and so we brought that same approach to Written Well. We don't consider anybody to be competition. If somebody does something well, they're a place we can send people,
Mm-hmm.
a place we can write about, somebody we can talk about. You know, at the writers conference where you and I met. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we had someone come up to us and ask about Amazon ads, and Adam has made two courses on Amazon ads for the site.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy said, "Yeah, I've done so much stuff and I've learned all these things." And he started talking to Adam about how much he knew. And Adam said, "We have two courses on the site, and maybe you learn a little bit from them, but it sounds like you're very advanced. And actually, what you need is go talk to Mal Cooper. She's right over there."
Yep.
He like sent her. You know,
Yep.
we do that same thing. We're talking about um, everybody who's good at anything in the industry. These are the places that you go find these things, right? We just want everybody that's on the site to have the most information possible and be successful, and if that works, then we're going to be fine.
Yeah, so it's kind of a combination of you guys teaching things but also providing resources so people can go outside your ecosystem and be like, here are the experts you really can trust because these are people you vetted and know.
Yes, we can teach you how to format. There's multiple things on that.
Mhm.
Or cover design is a good example where I made a whole series on how to do market research for your cover and then how to design a cover in Canva for free using deposit photos, you know,
Yep.
deposit photos photo for $1. And then I also have here are all the pre-made cover places that are a good
Yep.
deal and have professional looking covers. And then here are some great cover designers if you want to go if you want to spend 500 or $1,000 on having somebody make you a perfect cover.
Mhm.
If you think it's worth that to you, here are the people that are good at that and do a great job and are reasonably priced. Yeah, so you can learn to do it yourself, and that's probably the best thing for self-published authors is, okay, these four skills I'm going to do myself because these are things I'm
Yep.
good at, and these things I don't want to deal with that. I'm going to have someone do
Yep.
it. If
That
I have
is
a book that's
definitely.
even remotely complicated or has any illustrations or anything like that, I have Adam format it for me. And I've formatted like 150 books for myself and other people. But if
Yep.
I still have Adam do it if it's going to be complicated.
Yep. As an editor, I have an editor for a reason. I've got
Right.
like we talked the other day about the fact that like I'll read what I meant to write, not what I actually wrote, and my dyslexic ass will absolutely miss things when it's my writing. When it's other people's writing, no, but mine, ha, God forbid. So
I have that.
knowing when to hire somebody and who to hire is a really valuable skill in and of
Yeah.
itself, just that.
Being able to not hire the wrong person is really
Yep,
valuable. It saves you a lot of money.
it does.
I have that thing when I edit my own stuff with I'll read a paragraph and then I'll think, oh, this obviously needs to be in there. And I'll put like two more sentences in there that I know need to go there. And then I go to the next paragraph and there are those two sentences exactly. And I go, oh, and I'll do it all day long. I'll just keep doing it. My memory is not good enough for what I've already written. And I'll just, yeah, that's my biggest problem.
Yep.
Though I do self edit quite a bit of my own work. Having readers, especially for the poker books, having readers was really helpful.
Yeah.
Too much technical stuff in there, and I'll get some of the math wrong just because I clicked the wrong numbers and knew
That's
that I
okay.
know the math is right in my spreadsheet, and then it ends up not in the book correct, and somebody will find it.
Yep. Absolutely. So Is Written Well designed for people who are like just starting? Is it designed for people who've been doing this a while but like want to get to the next tier? Like who's this really targeted to? Do you know?
I think the bottom 80% probably of skill level, maybe bottom 90% of skill level. People, I think even people who are making a lot of money will benefit from it, and they would, and the benefit would be enough that it would be worth a very inexpensive subscription. But we're hoping that the somebody who's at the, you know, at a reasonable level, in the
Mm-hmm.
top 25% of self-published authors, will become a member and then join the forums and be contributing by talking to people who don't know anything and answering questions for them, and we'll be answering questions for the 25 percenter.
Makes sense.
um, so somebody who's knows nothing can absolutely get all of it on the site, but somebody who knows quite a lot can still get all those holes filled and learn about things they don't know about, and learn my
Mm-hmm.
approach to Amazon, which is completely different than so many other authors.
That's something I've noticed. So for the people who are listening to this, I'm inside Written Well because Chris is considering working with me as one of their contributors, and I've been wandering around the inside of the site, and there's a lot of really excellent information. You definitely have a different approach to Amazon than a lot of the other people do. And I'm not going to say this in lieu of listening to people like Mal Cooper or Quinn Ward or Brian Cohen or some of the other top people out there, but getting different perspectives can really help you shape your strategy. Because as a rule, at least in my experience, there's not one correct strategy for everybody. Generally, you have to tailor the advice to fit your genre, to fit your book, to fit you and what you are, your vibe as an author. There's a whole lot of pieces. And so gathering all the information you can means that you can put something together that will work best for you. And I believe it, in that. And I think that some of the stuff you have on the course, like some of the courses, the genre guides and stuff, has a lot of deep value for people, to help assemble their own
And all the
understanding.
people you mentioned are great at what they do.
Mm-hmm.
I learn from those people all the time.
Yep.
Um, it is really about providing more and more of the picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you only listen to one of those people, you wouldn't learn as much as if you listen to all of them and hear the different things that they talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And then my perspective is a little unique, just because of the way that I came into it, and the way I approach it. And we have a keywords course going up probably tonight or tomorrow that will be um, free to the general public, so people can get a little preview of what our courses look like. And that's a really good example where my approach to keywords is so different than most others, because I really looked at learning how the Amazon algorithm works and did a lot of research into it. And ultimately, I guess I could have used common sense and come up with something similar, but I wouldn't have been so certain. Um, Ultimately, Amazon only cares about money. They only
Yep.
care about your book sales. And it's widely known that nobody in the business world cares less about tomorrow than Amazon. Amazon wants the dollars right now, today, and they don't care about anything else. What makes us the most dollars right now?
Yep.
And that's apparently that works. They're doing fine. Um,
For them,
but
anyway.
yeah, yeah, it works. It doesn't work for everybody who's a customer of theirs, but it works for them. And so they care about conversion rate of your book, and your recent conversion rate. And so their search algorithm is trained on conversion rate. So if your book comes up in search, people click on it and they buy it. Then it stays high in search. People click on it and they don't buy it, it drops in search. Searches, and we're so used to, like, normal SEO people, which I've done in the past, we're so used to getting the click is
Mm-hmm.
what we're after. But getting the click without getting the sale on Amazon downgrades you in their search algorithm. And Amazon will literally will put a teapot in your search for Honda Civic if they discover that people who search for Honda Civics buy teapots. The search algorithm does not care about accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't care about how happy the customer is. It doesn't care if they ever come back. It cares about, will they buy something right now if I show it to them? So you have to make your book that thing that sells, and then Amazon will show it to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So in the keyword boxes, people put things that they think either accurately describe their book, because that's what we think works for search in the rest of the world, or things that will cause their book to pop up in lots of search results, which is our goal in, other SEO situations, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in the case of Amazon, both of those are wrong, because if you put in words that will give you lots of search results, but they're not people who are going to buy your book, then Amazon quickly downgrades you in search, and then you're getting shown to no one.
Yep.
And so all that effort is wasted. Whereas if you show your book only to people who are likely to buy it, and your conversion rate gets really high, and your description and your cover and those things are good, and your conversion rate stays high, Amazon will start to show it to more people. And you don't have to worry about getting yourself seen widely in search, because if your conversion rate is good, Amazon will take care of that, and they'll show it to everybody. And you can be the teapot that everybody's seen, whether they like it or not.
I think that's going to be the life's motto that comes away from this is be the teapot.
Right.
We can be the teapot. That'll be the slogan. That is an excellent example of some of the really interesting information that you'll be able to find on Written Well if you check them out. And like I said, I've gone through there, I've gone through the site, I've spent a large percentage of time at the writing conference I was at, Author Nation, with Chris and Adam, just hanging around, causing mischief and giggling at places we probably shouldn't have been. Um, and I can say from personal experience, if you trust me at all, they're excellent people who will teach you a lot. And so they have my stamp of approval for whatever that's worth to any of you. Um, so understanding all of this, I think I want to close on what are some of the challenges you see in the market today for authors, and how do you kind of meet those challenges?
It's certainly becoming um, it's becoming a little corporatized. There's a circle happening where the big publishers are really hurting, and they still are. But a bunch of people are figuring out, oh, we could find ways to use this. Um, I know a number of people who work for, like, kind of a couple who are in collectives and a couple who are in work for shady businesses that publish a bunch of people under one pen name. And they have a rule that this is what you have to write, and this is how you write it, and this is the deal. Because having a long series and having a long read through and having those things be consistent is how you make money. And whether those are all written by the same person or not is not important to readers. And finding these kinds of hacks has caused, especially in lots of romance genres, has caused these kinds of things to pop up, where companies will appear and they start paying people to edit these things. And now I just talked to someone who works for a company. She's an aspiring writer, and she's got one book out, and she works for like a trashy romance company that has the book written on pseudo-write, sends it to her, tells her that a ghostwriter wrote it, but it's clearly not a ghostwriter. It's definitely pseudo-write. Um, I even looked at some of it and zeroed out. And then she goes through it and does some editing and works on it. And they don't pay her very much. They're getting a great deal. I want to hire her instead of them as soon as I have some money, because she's great and they're underpaying her. And then sends it from her to a regular editor like you. And they tell the editor, this is the rough draft that the writer, whose name is now on it, who's one of their fake people, sent us, and we need you to edit it. And then they'll pay some editor, $1,200 to edit the thing and then put it out. And now this company's running 3 pen names, and each pen name puts out a book every month, and they're killing it, making a ton of money.
Yeah.
Those kinds of challenges are happening in the market. I'm not worried about writing good books. It's a long way away. I'm not worried about that, but the fact that they've found a way to use the trash that comes out of an AI currently as a base, and then have people turn it into a book, and then pretend that there's a writer behind it when there isn't, and use that power of a long series, So, and then
Yeah.
all their series, they're all published under the same company, so they get crossover read through. And I think
Yep.
that's a challenge in the industry. And I think more and more people are going to start to look at ways to game the system en masse. And companies are going to start doing this more and more. Generally, my experience with technology is companies are doing this more and more already, and we're not hearing about it as much yet. But that, in the poker world, that was definitely, we hear about the things that are happening once in a while, and we find out they're happening all the time, and most people aren't talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Most companies who do things like this are not going to talk about it. I think that's our real challenge in the industry. And for a good self-published author, that's not a big challenge. It might hurt your bottom line slightly, but if you're writing stuff that's really good, it's not a problem. And that's why we have so many articles on the craft,
Yep.
because your book can't suck. If your book sucks, it doesn't matter how good the rest of the stuff
It's
is.
true. Yeah, if your book is garbage, it doesn't matter how pretty the packaging is, it's still garbage, and that is absolutely a reality. That's one of the reasons why I say don't skimp on editing as a rule. Because regardless of whether you're self-editing, if you know how, and I'm not going to tell people they can't do it. I actually have chapters on that in my books, how to write the damn book and how to publish the damn book. I include chapters on self-editing because I know realistically not everybody can pay for a good quality editor to
Yeah.
do the job that I do. Like, not everyone can do that for their first few books. So, self editing is a very real and valid thing. And also using things like I've mentioned before, Smart Edit, Perfect It. You can use some Hemingway and, Pro Writing Aid and those other things. Like, those might get you through the finish line until you get enough money you can invest in that next step.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a valid thing. And I definitely see the challenges inherent in some of the things going on with the AI, but I also think readers are a little more savvy than people believe, because I mean, okay, so I'm an editor and I'm autistic and I know it's cheating. So we're going to start there, but when I read something that is AI generated schlock, I can usually tell because it has certain patterns to the way it uses words and so on. It's not.
At this point, you can tell. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, that might change in the future, but I don't foresee AI having the capacity to remove the human element from creativity. No matter what they do, it's always going to be subpar because it doesn't have experiences, it doesn't have a life. It's just a word algorithm that's like, here are things that sell books. And it's not going to get further than the bottom tier schlock.
Luckily we just don't have to worry about it because it's not going to be good real soon.
Yeah, no.
It's as it
Not
as it
anytime soon.
gets better, we can be worried about that. But right now, it's not very good, and it's not going to be very good for quite some
Mm-hmm.
time. Honestly, the AI bubble's kind of like, we're going to see that as a really silly thing someday, because these programs just didn't suddenly get really smart.
Yeah.
There have been chatbots for 15 years. There have
Mm-hmm.
been, you know these things have all existed, and they're slowly getting better, and AI became a buzzword, and Google came out with Gemini, and Facebook came out with
Yep.
ChatGPT. But I mean, these are not like, remember, the Butler, was it just called Butler? No, Jeeves. Ask Jeeves.
Yep. Ask Jeeves. I remember Ask Jeeves.
Right. Ask Jeeves was just Chat GPT that just wasn't as good. But it was
Mm-hmm.
like 20 years ago. It was a
It
long
didn't have a
time.
human style of communication, but he definitely was a chatbot. I used to talk to chatbots back in the old, like, MSN Messenger and AOL days, like back when the internet came in the mail. There were chatbots that you could have conversations with. I mean, that's almost what a mud is a chatbot in a way.
Yeah,
So they're
absolutely.
not entirely new, and that's one of the reasons why they don't scare me that much. Yes, they're more sophisticated than they were. I'm not going to pretend they're not, but they certainly don't have the ability to replace humans anytime soon, because no matter how complex the algorithm, what really is the meat and heart of a story is the lived experience. I just had somebody message me recently about a book that I sent them. I sent them a copy of, it was Cold Front, my spy thriller, and the author said, or not the author, well, she is an author, but my reader said that she really connected with that character because she had some of the same experiences that person did and really could deeply feel what it was like to be that person and tell that I knew what it was like to have those experiences too.
Hmm.
And that's the kind of soul to soul connection you aren't going to get out of an AI. Ever. Like, it might be able to tell a reasonable story with some interesting twists, but you're not going to have that foundational connection with a human being.
Yeah. I heard in like, maybe it was 1985, um,
The year I was born.
a computer teacher, I was in maybe middle school. Um, a computer teacher played us music that was like kind of rock,
Mm-hmm.
no vocals, and it was very digitally sounding, but it was rock music. And he said this music was made by a computer. in 1985,
Mm-hmm.
and computers are not making hit singles yet.
No, I've
I'm
listened to
not,
some.
the creative experience is it's not there yet. Someday, maybe it very well will be have figured out how to make books that a lot of people buy, but it's just coming slower than people think, and we're not where people are afraid we're going to be. I just looked up Ask Jeeves, and it was launched in 1996.
Yep.
And
And
they already had a thing that was answering your questions on the internet in
mm-hmm.
1996. A very early version of Ask Jeeves. If it's gone from that to Chat GPT, which still constantly makes mistakes, you
Yep.
know in that period of time, almost 30 years,
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm just not that worried it's going to take over and write great novels and put me out of business, and
I don't think so.
not worried about it.
All right. Well, this has been a wonderful discussion, and it is always a pleasure to sit down and talk to you. And I am looking very much forward to that keywords course because keywords is one of my bugbears. Because trying to figure out what to put in my keywords is a nightmare for me. Like, my brain is like, I don't know, search for I like book write good. What? No, that's not shit. You know? So,
It
that
will
would be fun.
definitely, although it might make it harder for you because it gives you a lot more to think about. But at least it sets you up with a process to go
It
through,
might have.
and that
I
that
need more
fixes a lot of
data.
that kind of anxiety.
Yeah, my problem is I don't feel that I have enough data to be able to, because people are like, well, what would people search for when they're looking for your book? And I'm like, the name of another book vaguely similar to mine, and that's great, but it shouldn't be one of your keywords because it's just gonna pull up their book instead of yours.
And it makes Amazon mad, and it downgrades you in search
Right. So
if you put
stuff
someone
like
else's
that.
book or some other author's name in your keyword
Mm-hmm.
box. I hate that.
Yep. I mean, you can do it for ads, but that's
Yeah,
ads targeting. That's a different beastie.
yeah.
Um, so thank you so much. This has been a joy, and I am very much looking forward to that keywords course. And if anybody is looking for you, they can find you on writtenwell.com. Right?
If they use the discount code Ellis, capital ELLIS, I just set it up right now because I can do that. Then they can get in for $15 a month. So
Oh, I will put that down in the description. So if you use Ellis ELLIS, you will get a discount. You'll be down to $15 a month, and you will get access to a number of phenomenal courses. I'm looking at doing some interesting stuff on there with them too, and I'm really like jazzed about Written Well. I think it's going to be great, and you and Adam are just lovely people. Honestly, I think everybody should just like you just on principle. Um,
our our rule, my rule in being, I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years. My last job was 26 years ago or something, just driving pizzas for health insurance. And my rule has always been, I do this and I work really hard at it, and I do that to avoid working with people I don't like, having bosses that are miserable, and getting up in the morning. And so we don't have anybody in this business that we don't like. When you meet Blaze or Lida, you're going to like both of them.
sure.
We won't bring anybody. I don't care how good someone is. We're not interested. We only want people that we would want to hang out with, and people that we trust to be part of any business we do. So that's what I've done. The whole 30 years that I've been an entrepreneur is just
Yep.
work with people that I like, because I don't need to be an entrepreneur if I'm going to work with people I don't like. If
Mm-hmm.
I've got to get up in the morning and work with some jackass, I might as well get, benefits and 401k, right? Like,
That's
why
fair.
would I be an entrepreneur if I'm going to deal with those things? I might as well go get a job, work at a bank or something.
That's fair. That's fair. Thank you so much, and I will catch you all next week. And we will talk about what we talk about then. So I will talk to you later, Chris. Have a great
Thanks for
afternoon.
having me on. Have a good night.
You too.